We've heard already several times today about voice and the importance of that as a potential future medium for all of us to gain information, to gather information and to interact with brands. And here to tell us about the progress being made with Amazon Echo and Alexa, we have Tobias Helweg, editorial developer at Spiegel in Germany, and Max Amordeluso, EU head of Alexa Skills Kit at Amazon in Luxembourg. Max and Tobias, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here. Great. Okay. So very happy to be here. Thank you for attending this session. I'm going to speak about what we're doing with Alexa. Before we start, how many of you here, could you please raise your hand if you've ever seen in action an Amazon Alexa device, an Echo or a Tap? Okay, thank you. Thank you, or that. Thanks. So I'm going to speak briefly about voice experience, why we at Amazon, we believe that voice is extremely important, and why voice is the next big thing here in our present for us to interact with machines. So voice is everywhere. Think about you're driving, you want to have recommendations on what to eat tonight, make a reservation to a restaurant, and so on, or you want to be entertained by your infotainment system, or if you're cooking, you want a recipe, you want to be entertained again, and you don't want necessarily to interact with your hands. You need an immediacy that your hand in that specific moment cannot provide. Or, for example, if you think about your house as an overall, wouldn't you like to interact with your house in a novel way, in an immediate way that will give you control over your entire smart home connection, for example, or devices? So we believe at Amazon that voice is very natural. So when we are growing, we're growing up, we gauge our way of communicating via voice. But voice is not very easy to do for computers. Voice is complex to replicate. Voice is hard to recreate because we are very good as humans at disambiguation. So we can infer from the context what exactly the meaning of something is. If you think conversely for a machine, it's very easy to take literal meaning out of communication. And if you do this right, it's very close to magic. It's very natural. This graphic shows us the various points in the evolution of human-computer interactions. So, as you've seen, there is some of the big cusps of the last few years. Each one of those steps is about 10 years, more or less, give it or take. And we see that for each one of these steps, we do have a pretty fairly large revolutionary way of interacting with machines, with computers. And I'm not going to read all of those, but where we are right now, we are on the VUI. VUI stands for Voice User Interface. So this is the way, as opposed to, for example, as GUI or GUI, Graphical User Interface. This is leveraging voice for the interactions between humans and machines. Why am I showing you this? Because this is a very important point under several angles. Each one of those steps roughly means that an order of magnitude more of users interacts with machine using that specific technology. This represents, as John was saying before, this represents an enormous amount of opportunities. So there is new technologies, new skills, new way of interacting, new way of gaining user interactions for your products and services. Speaking specifically about voice, this is, if you can see in the last few years, there's been a dramatic improvement, a dramatic advancement in the way that the speech science is getting better. And there is more or less 5 pieces in this speech advancements or speech technology that we're leveraging. Without going into the details, ASR, automatic speech recognition. This is basically the way that the technology can understand what the user is saying. Then there is a natural language processing or natural language understanding. This is actually what is the very intent. So we go back to the disambiguation problem before. So this is the intent of what the user actually wanted to say. Then access. So by access here, I mean that artificial intelligence, machine learning, they need data, they need set, we need set. So the more users, the more the model evolves and gets smarter. Then cloud. Cloud is the underlying operation. Without the cloud, we cannot have this level of unlimited or virtually unlimited storage and computing power that makes all of this possible. And then, of course, advancements in artificial intelligence and machine learning. These are some of the estimates that are current. Probably these are very conservative by now, but you can see that addressable market is quite large. It's there and it's quite large. Now, as I mentioned, Amazon believes that we are right now on the biggest or on the very major disruption in technology, and this is voice. We have a process in Amazon that is called the work backwards. We started thinking about Amazon Alexa several years ago. The original vision was the Star Trek computer. So this was a computer, basically, that for those of you that might be familiar with Star Trek, I hope the majority, is a computer that is very naturally interacts with the user. You ask questions and the computer understands and responds in a very natural fashion. So the Star Trek computer was the vision behind this. What do we do at Amazon with the work backwards process is that we start from an idea, in this case, the Star Trek computer, then we write a press release. So this is an exercise that actually simulates the launch of a product on Amazon retail websites. We actually write a press release that gets shared internally and that gets used to socialize the idea internally. So we write, the person coming up with the idea or the team coming up with the idea, in writing this press release and this FAQ, actually gets into the depth of the idea, elaborates the idea so that can be used internally to actually gain adoption, gain buyout, so that we can start thinking about how we can actually implement that vision. So this is called the working backwards process at Amazon. Now, this process has resulted in the creation of Amazon Alexa, and that Amazon Alexa runs or is available on several Alexa-enabled devices. In this case, we have here the Amazon Echo, you see, the tallest one, and the small one, which is the Amazon Dot, and they're available here in Germany, general availability. So the vision here is that to enable a house, to enable a location to be interactive via voice with Alexa. And that these devices are, there's been a lot of invention, a lot of innovation that is gone into these devices and it keeps going into these devices. But for your benefit, for those of you that have not yet interacted with one of these devices, the tallest one, the Echo, possesses what we call the far field recognition technology that basically is able throughout the distance of a physical room to focus on the input of the human being attempting the interaction with the device. And it does so through a series of mechanisms, beamforming technologies, and so on. But what's relevant, and it might be specifically relevant for this conversation, is that there is a wake word detector on this device. So all the actual communication, the processing, the automatic voice recognition, for example, the natural language understanding and processing is done on the cloud. What on board on this device, there is a wake word detector that basically always listens to the user for a wake word. In this case, for example, Alexa. When that wake word is recognized, then there is a transmission that is being initiated through the cloud. Now, until the wake word is recognized, there is no transmission to the cloud of any data, of any sound. In addition, if you see that very tiny mute button, the entire device can be disconnected electrically from even listening in for the wake word. So where is voice today? In our vision, for example, in a house, voice is everywhere in the house. Voice is the center point that your user, your consumers, will use to connect and to control the smart home or the IoT devices in your house, for example. So we see that the voice is the entry point to all the other connected devices throughout your house or throughout your user's house. Now, there is features that we're working on, like ESP, for example. Think about if a user has in a house multiple Echo or Dot devices, ESP will enable this user to walk around the house and to be followed by the closest device for interactions. So you speak naturally throughout your house, and then the closest device only will respond. So this is pretty useful in actually bridging that vision to get to enable a house to be a lot closer to the Star Trek computer. Now, this is just the beginning, so I want to stress the fact that voice technology is a stupendously complex problem, and we're just getting started here. This works fairly well, in my opinion, but this is just the beginning. We're inventing constantly. We're very vested in this technology. Now, going over the ecosystem that we have created, we have two major ways provided to interact with Alexa from a developer, from a content distributor point of view, from all of you that want to work with this technology for your end users. On your right, we do have the Alexa voice service, and on the left, we have the Alexa Skills Kit, which I represent here. The Alexa voice service is basically a system that enables to place Alexa into your products. So you embed Alexa into your products, either physical products or virtual products or mobile apps, for example. And does that, and there is a number of partners that have done this, are doing this right now. But the biggest takeaway point is that here, if you think about it, Alexa does not need to be only on Alexa devices. If you have a product, you can embed Alexa into this. You don't need to have physical devices that are only made by Amazon. All of these devices, for example, are devices that are made by partners that have Alexa embedded in via AVS. And of course, everything that you will do on Alexa, all the features will work on these devices as well. Now, speaking of the Alexa Skills Kit, the Alexa Skills Kit is a way that we have made available for developers to make Alexa smarter. So to teach new skills and new features, new functionalities. And the way that we do, the reason why we do this is that to provide the most delightful experience possible for the end user of Alexa-enabled devices. And these are, if you think about it, these are like voice-first apps for Alexa. Now, currently we do have 4 skills type. We have smart home skills that leverages a specific API to interact with smart home and connected home devices. We have custom skills where developers can create, can enrich their platform with this custom creation, custom development. Then we have flash briefings, little snippets of content, usually daily updated. They're very popular with customers. And then we have audio players. And here, we wanted to bring some real-life examples into what we're doing. And it's my pleasure to have Tobias Helwig from Spiegel Tech Lab that is going to speak with us about what they've done with Alexa.
Oh, yes. Do you remember the 80s TV show Knight Rider? Do you remember the talking car? Kit was the first voice assistant I remember, and since then I've been fascinated by voice-driven interfaces. Hi, I'm Tobias Helwig. I'm a developer. I'm not used to talk to people, and this is my first talk. So we've made some experiences with Alexa, and that's what I'm going to share. At Spiegel Online, we had early access to the German version of Alexa because we were a launch partner. And from the first moment, we have been fascinated by the functionality, pronunciation, and humor of Alexa. We developed a flash briefing skill with our latest headline news. And we had to learn a lot. Read out contents do not sound great automatically. You have no images, no videos, no bold or italic for underlining. And if you are going to develop a custom skill, you have to watch people using Alexa, and I had the chance to observe my colleagues using Alexa, and this was fun. Each time Alexa didn't react as they expected her to do, their voice became slightly louder and louder. And yeah, it seemed like they were interacting with a pet. And I was waiting for them to start threatening her. Alexa, if you don't do what I want you to do, you will be in trouble. So we had to understand how to use a voice interface first. The reason for Alexa not to process the intents of my colleagues were complex language. For example, Alexa, would you please increase the brightness of the lightning for me? This doesn't work. Not yet. So the key takeaways are all contents are audio, and try to keep it simple. Try to avoid complex language. At Spiegel Online, we are currently developing a long-form audio skill. And Spiegel Online is always looking forward to explore new ways of storytelling. And with Alexa, there's a lot to discover. In my opinion, voice assistances will be part of our lives, and the interaction will become more and more natural for us. And soon we can rely on them like Michael Knight did on Kid. That's it. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Tobias. So what we've seen here is, so Tobias covered a couple of very important points. When you interact with anything, let's say, even with humans, but let's say with machines in this specific case, with voice only, you have to be very careful. You have to be very deliberate in your design. I mentioned earlier voice user interface design, and this is a new field, a fairly new field. There is a unique opportunities, but there is also unique challenges. You have to be, as a designer, you have to design in a manner that it truly doesn't, that creates engagement. You don't want to upset or to bore your customers, or to be too lengthy, or to be too repetitive. There is a number of principles that we go over, and they're very important. But as an overall, if you're trying to figure out, well, sounds kind of interesting, but where do I start? Well, you start simple. So start from a point of view where you do have your core functionalities, for example. You do have a simple product or a simple interaction that does exactly what it's supposed to do. Natural conversation, if you start designing, try to use, first of all, do a lot of design first. I hope this is clear. But when you do in that design, use other human beings to actually go over and to actually try that conversation out to see if it feels natural, or if it feels robotic, or if it feels too lengthy or sonore, or if it actually provides the information. Very important point. And again, core business functionalities, and then utilize APIs, utilize built-in libraries, utilize all the features that the Alexa ecosystem provides to you. So the approach that we recommend is that, again, concentrate on your core functionality first. So don't try to invent the whole mountain. Just concentrate on what your core business is. And then you can expand the functionalities later on. And then, even on, you can go and evolve your products in a manner that actually satisfies and addresses more your customers. I just want to give you a little bit of a statistics or a bit of a metric point, a data point that might be relevant. Voice is really here. Voice is here. So these products, we have sold millions of these products throughout the world. There is a lot of users, and users love this. Just by judging on the Amazon.com, the retail website in the US, we've seen, I believe, 34,000 five-star reviews, which is the maximum of our review system. We've seen a very high level of engagement. In the smart home context, for example, we see in average users interact with these devices 16 times a day. If you think about it, 16 times a day is a lot to interact with any devices stationary that does not come into your pocket like your mobile, for example. So this is a stationary device that is in your house and is being interacted with 16 times a day for a smart home. So there is a lot of opportunities here, and I wanted to leave you with this concept. But again, you crawl, you walk, and then you run. Practical example, you have a traffic skill that is a traffic skill that is going to provide information on traffic, on road considerations, and so on. So start with just an estimation of the time it will take you to go from one point to the other. Just do that right. Then you can expand it to include the real-time accidents, for example, or constructions or closure, real-time information. Don't try to do that from the beginning. Then eventually you can evolve it to proactively give that information out before it's even asked and so on. So we're constantly innovating and inventing in this. Very vested, Amazon, this is one of the priorities that we do have. We have a lot of teams, a lot of super smart people that behind the science of Alexa working on this. We have a lot of APIs and functionalities that we're continuously developing, and here are some of them. For example, there is APIs that are being created, and there is recently launched in Europe as well, a testing tool that is going to enable your developers, or you if you develop directly, to actually test out what you have in a very natural way. This is a web-based tool that is going to, that simulates and is available today. You can use it in German as well. Now, to summarize, voice is here to stay. So there is a proliferation of voice experiences everywhere, and there is a mainstream adoptions that we're seeing right now. This is occurring right now, and it's just going to go growing. And the opportunity is very big. These are new channels that I think you should all look into it. And I thank you very much. There are some links here that if you want to, you can tweet to me if you need any information, if you need to get in touch. I hope you got some value out of this presentation. It was my biggest pleasure. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers. Max, thank you very much. And a quick round of applause for Tobias there. First ever presentation, superbly done. If you don't have an Alexa, Amazon Echo yet, I strongly suggest you try it out.